Hi, welcome to this video series on how to create Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C Sharp. My name is Ayuba Ojonugwa Moazu, and if you have been in the Bitcoin space for quite some time now, you will know that Bitcoin and blockchain has grown tremendously in the past years, and it has reached a level where it's can stop. So Bitcoin has grown to a stage where we as developers can't really think about the future without thinking about Bitcoin and blockchain. So in this video series here, I'm going to teach you, especially C Sharp developers, how to create a Bitcoin wallet from scratch. But first of all, before we do that, we have to understand some few basic things about the Bitcoin core software. So in this session one here, I'm going to walk you through what is the Bitcoin core software, and then what is Nbitcoin, which is the .NET implementation of the Bitcoin core software, and then we'll look at the Nbitcoin core implementation, which of course is the same as the Bitcoin core software implementation. So in this session here, I'm going to introduce you to Bitcoin and the Nbitcoin library that was written for .NET developers. But first of all, let's start with the Bitcoin core software. And these are basic facts that the Bitcoin core software possesses. First of all, Bitcoin Core is the client software for the Bitcoin network, and it was released by Bitcoin itself. If you can remember, as far back as 2009, when Bitcoin was first released by Satoshi Nakamoto, an unknown person or persons, a client software called Bitcoin Core software was released alongside the white paper that people can use to be able to do some certain interesting things about the Bitcoin itself. And then the Bitcoin Core software includes a wallet that can be used to mine Bitcoins. So basically, miners use this Bitcoin Core software to be able to mine Bitcoins. You already know about Bitcoin mining, how it's been done and everything. So I assume you know all that. Now, Bitcoin Core isn't any kind of cryptocurrency. It's just a software, it's just a client software that you install on your PC and you can use it. So it's not a cryptocurrency, because a lot of people have that misconception that Bitcoin Core is a kind of cryptocurrency. So it's not a kind of cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin Core is an option. We can actually use other softwares too, which in this case now we're going to create a simple C# wallet using Nbitcoin, which can be used optionally in case you don't want to use Bitcoin Core, although it might not have the full implementation of the Bitcoin Core, because Bitcoin Core we can use it to mine Bitcoins. But what we want to create today, you can only use it to store Bitcoins, send and receive Bitcoins. So the Bitcoin Core software can also be used to send, receive, and store Bitcoins. So this is a very important characteristics that it has. And you have to know that it's very large. As of now, it should even be more than 340 gigabytes. So it's very large, because as people are coming into the network is growing. As transactions are coming into the network, it's growing exponentially. So it's very large. You can't use just one PC now to, you can just use one PC to run the Bitcoin Core software, unless of course if you have a very large space and a super fast computer. So Bitcoin has grown exponentially to that stage that, unlike in those days when it started that people can mine Bitcoins with their PC from home. Now it's energy consuming and all that. So it's a very, very large software. And it's very secured. If you hear about the security of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Core software actually contributes to that. So it's a very secure software. And the last thing is written in C++. So C++ is the native language that Bitcoin core software was written in. Now, for .NET developers, understanding C++ or reading C++ is a little bit, not very clear like that. So that's where Nbitcoin came in, and we are going to look at that today. So, okay, I need to remove this. Now, the Nbitcoin is a Now, Nbitcoin is a port of Bitcoin from C++ to C Sharp to help C Sharp developers learn Bitcoin and blockchain. So, just like I said, for C Sharp developers, reading C++ is a little bit overwhelming, like especially for people like me. So, Nbitcoin comes in very, very handy. And I think it's written by Nicholas Doria. Yeah, I think it's written by Nicholas Doria and some couple of other guys in the team. But it's basically a port of Bitcoin from C++ to C Sharp. The Bitcoin core software, the source codes are there on GitHub. You can check on their GitHub page. Source codes are there. You can look at it. You can read about it. And every day, every month, every year, developers are contributing to the Bitcoin core software, and they are modifying and positively developing it. Now, the Nbitcoin provides Nugget packages to let developers easily build their own blockchain solutions on top of it, which is what we are going to do in this video today. So we are going to download the Nugget package of Nbitcoin, and we shall easily be able to build our own wallet solution on top of it. So, and this will help us as .NET developers to be able to achieve this fast and easy. So now, talking about the implementation of Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin, basically it has the following. It has a block header for each, because for each blockchain there is a block header. There is a transaction where we get transaction details and all that. There is an input, there is an output, and then there is a block itself. So let's start from the block header. Now, the block header contains a block version, the previous block hash for security reasons, to be able to hash the present block, the Merkle roots hash, the time, bits, and nonce. So these are the information that's stored in the block header, and it's the same thing for any Bitcoin implementation. Now, the block itself contains a magic number, transactions, transaction counts, and all that. And then the transaction itself contains a transaction version, the input counter that we get from the input, the list of inputs, the output counter, the list of outputs, and then the log time. And then the inputs contains the previous transaction hash before this input comes in, the previous transaction output index, transaction in length, script signature, sequence number. Well, you don't really need to understand these actually to be able to build the one that you want to build today, but this is just the core implementation of Bitcoin, Bitcoin blockchain. And these are basically what it contains. And the output, we have the value, transaction output, script length, and script public key. So if you want to go deep into understanding the core implementation of Bitcoin, you can actually go to the GitHub page, read about it, and do some research about the core implementation of Bitcoin to get to learn what it's really all about. So like I said, in this video tutorial here, we are going to create a Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C# programming language. And what we are going to focus on is a nugget package called Nbitcoin, which we are going to uh, download from nugget packages. And you have to understand that Nbitcoin can also be used to create other kind of cryptocurrencies, because basically cryptocurrencies like Litecoin are actually a fork of Bitcoin itself. So if you want to create something like Litecoin, or you want to create a new kind of coin that functions exactly like Bitcoin, then we can use the altcoin um, implementation of Nbitcoin. So I'm going to show you that. I'm just going to show you what it's all about later in the next video. So Nbitcoin is a very powerful library that we are going to use for creating Bitcoin wallet. But it's not the only library that's existing actually. There's Stratis, and then I think there's some few other libraries that you can check. But Nbitcoin is the most popular among them. So sit back, relax, and stay with me while we move on to the next session in this video series. Once again, my name is Ayuba Ojonugo Moazu, and thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 2 on this video series on how to create a Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C#. Once again, my name is Ayuba Ojonugo Moazu. In session 2 here, we are going to set up the project with the necessary tools involved in creating our small Bitcoin wallet. So first of all, we're going to set up Visual Studio and install the Nbitcoin library from the Nugget packages, and then we're just going to create a small and empty Windows application that we will use later for creating our library. So first of all, you have to have Visual Studio installed as a prerequisite. Visual Studio 2019 and 2015 installed here. So let me use 2015. So I right click, run as administrator, and then please open up Visual Studio. So open up Visual Studio. Okay, so I go to File, I go to New, go to Projects. So make sure you're on Visual Studio. Make sure you're on Visual C# and select Windows. So we're going to create a Windows form application. You can change this framework to maybe 4.7 to the latest. So let me change this to the latest, and then let me name this Nbitcoin wallet 2, because I've created one myself. So let me just call this Nbitcoin wallet 2, and then I click OK. So this will create an empty project for me with a form, an empty form that I can use later. I actually chose to create a form so you get to see it more easily. So now that I have this form created, close this. Now we want to add our nuggets packages, our Nbitcoin library from our nugget packages. So we'll go to reference here in the solution explorer, right click on that, go to manage nugget packages, and then click on browse. And here we type Nbitcoin. Now you can see we have a lot here. We have Nbitcoin, which has about 4.8 million downloads. This is the core library, and then we have nbitcoin.altcoins for creating altcoins like Litecoin and the rest, which are actually fork off the main Bitcoin implementation. So we're not using this for now, but just to let you know. And we have other Nbitcoin packages like the test framework and all that you can browse through and use. So now that we have this, let's install the main Nbitcoin library. So click on that, and then you can see the dependencies and all that. Here's the latest version, 6.0.18, and then here are the dependencies, the framework 4.72 and all that. So you can scroll down. So we click on install to install this into our project. So make sure you have a stable internet connection to be able to install this straight away. So wait for this to start. And this might take quite some time. So attempting to gather dependency information for the package. So we just have to wait a little. Good. So I'll click OK. I'll click accept. So this will install a whole lot of stuffs like other libraries like nets.http and the rest. So this is installing now. Okay, so this has finished installing the nuggets packages in 1.1 minute 17 seconds. So we can close this, and if you expand references, you see that Nbitcoin is added to your list of references. Now we have our form here, which is an empty form, and then we're going to fill this later, where we can create our wallets either from our mnemonic phrase or from our private keys. So I'm going to show you all that in the next video, but for now let's just test that everything is working fine by clicking on this start button here and make sure that our form is running fine before we can start coding using the Nbitcoin library. Good, so we have our form here, so it means everything is running fine and good. So we can add our text boxes, our labels and all that, and we can use that. So that is that. We have this form. Now I'll just expand it a little. Then can go to the properties window, just name it main form instead of form 1. It's my properties window. As I can see that from here. Properties window. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult for me. A bit confusing finding this. Here's my solution explorer, which should be on the other windows, right? Property manager. Okay, anyway, we'll scroll down a little. Good, properties window. So I can name this maybe main form, so form 1. So I can name this main form. Alright, now that we have this, we can stop this project here. In the next video, we are going to add our buttons and labels, and we're going to see how we're going to create our mnemonic seed phrase, our private keys, generate our Bitcoin address, and all that. So thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 3 in this video series on how to create a Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C#. My name is Ayuba Ojonugomazu. In session 3 here, we're going to generate the Bitcoin address and private keys, or we're going to generate the Bitcoin addresses via private keys. So that's what we're going to focus on in this session 3. If you can remember, in the last session, we were able to install from the Nugget packages our Nbitcoin library. But let me just talk a little bit about private keys and why it's needed. Now, a private key in the context of Bitcoin is a secret number that allows Bitcoins to be spent. Every Bitcoin wallet contains one or more private keys, and the keys are not stored on the network. They can be generated without access to the internet. So your private key is very, very important in the context of Bitcoin, because it's that secret number that allows you to own and spend Bitcoins. So when I say spend Bitcoins, that means transferring Bitcoins from one wallet to another. So now in this session here, we're going to see how we will generate our Bitcoin addresses via private keys. And once we're able to have our Bitcoin address, of course, you know, it's what we can, our Bitcoin address is what we share to the public to be able to receive Bitcoins from them. So once you have a Bitcoin address, automatically you can send Bitcoins into that address, and you can send Bitcoins from that address using your private keys. Now, let's quickly dive into that. So let's just quickly modify this form a little bit by saying something like this. You can just name this generate Bitcoin by private keys, generate address by private keys, generate address by private key. So that will be like the header of this. Can make that a little bit bold. Jackie, my dog, is actually making noise outside. So where is the bold? I usually don't do Windows programming per se, so just to differentiate, make this bold. Now I can just put a button, say the generate private key. generate their private key. So I can name this button private key. So I can just name this private key. Address. So I have a private key there. We have an address. BL private key. Remove the text. Remove this text. LBL private key address. Okay, so the idea is once we click generate via private key, we get a private key and then the Bitcoin address. I'm going to show you how we can simply and easily do this. Now, you can right click and then view code so that you now I did this before, so you just make sure you import the Nbitcoin library using Nbitcoin. So make sure you do this. Now once you have that, we are going to code this button here. Sorry, we're going to code this button here to be able to generate our private key and our BTC address. So I can double click on this, and then so to generate a private key is simple. You just declare a variable called private key, and then it's as simple as just using the new keyword, and then so also declare the variable the BTC private key, and then the private key we generated. Now we use this. Now you can see is using this we'll choose which network we want to use, whether the main network or the private network. So using gateway, we said network. Now there are different networks here. There is the main network, which is the main network where we can spend real bitcoins, or the test network, or the testnet network. So depending on which one you want to use, so that you now you shouldn't send once you're using the main network, you send real bitcoins to that. Once you're using test network, you send false bitcoin, which you can request that from the internet. So this is it, network.main, and then so let's do this to string. Then now we said a private key text should give us the BTC private key. So now we're able, these 3 lines of code, we're able to use that to generate our private key. Now to generate a Bitcoin address, we first of all have to convert generate a public key from our private key. So let me just say generate a public key from our private key. So we also do that. So we say we declare this public key, and then it's the private key we generated. We get its public key. Um, so we get its public key. The key we generated, we get its public key, and then and so that's that. So we'll have the public key. Now to generate the address, generate BTC address. It has to be from our public key. From our public key. So now we say we declare this BTC address. BTC address. Okay, let me just say BTC address 1, and then BTC public key. From our private key rather. So script public key type, set which, and then we choose the network. So now you can see that from our private key we can actually generate a public key and then our BTC address. So just do this. BTC address. I'll put this to string. Okay, so let's run this and see the result. Okay, so let's click generate. Now we have our private key generated. Okay, well, here's the public. I guess I use another. Okay, let me just fix this. I use another different label there. Not label 1, sorry. This is LBL private key address, right? So we can run this again. So we just simply click this, and you can see we have our private key and our public key. Now this is a real Bitcoin address. you can send Bitcoin to that address, and then you can also send Bitcoin away from that address. So one thing you should consider is we created these on the main network. You can also create these on the test network. So in this video session here, we're able to generate a Bitcoin wallet where we're able to have our private key and our BTC address, and we can send and receive Bitcoins to this address. Now in the next session, we're going to create the wallet using the mnemonic seed phrase. So I'm going to show you that. Now stay with me until the next session. Thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 4 on this video series on how to create a Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C#. My name is Ayuba Ojanuba Moazu. In session 4 here, we are going to generate our Bitcoin addresses via the mnemonic seed phrase. And in the last session, we generated the address via our private key. And like I told you, the private key can be created without having access to the internet. So it's created locally. Now here we're going to generate the address via the mnemonic seed phrase. So you need to know what a mnemonic seed phrase is before we proceed. Now, a mnemonic seed phrase or Bitcoin seed is a list of words which store all the information needed to recover a Bitcoin wallet. So think of it more like a private key actually, and it should also be secret. So you should never reveal your mnemonic seed phrase to someone else. So think of it more like a private key, more like another way you can generate a Bitcoin wallet. And with a mnemonic seed phrase, you can recover your Bitcoin wallet anywhere. So it mustn't be on uh, program that on the software that you generated your Bitcoin address from. So once you have your mnemonic seed phrase, it's like you own that Bitcoin. So your mnemonic seed phrase should be kept secret, and you should never share it with someone else that is not supposed to use it. So that's that. Now let's quickly see how we can generate a Bitcoin address from our mnemonic seed phrase. So going back to our design, we have this generate via private key. So I can just drop another label here, and then I can say generate address by seed phrase. So it's like a 12 that's over 24 letters words that you can use. So I can make this bold too, following the convention that we had. And then same, we also have another button just like we have here, and then we say generate via mnemonic seed phrase. Generate via seed phrase. Say btn generate seed. So let's generate via seed phrase. Then we're going to drop our labels. The first one here, we have the second one here, we have the third one here, and then we have the fourth one here. Now okay, so I'll call this in the text format, text seed phrase, mnemonic, and then address. LBL mnemonic, and then we name this LBL address mnemonic. So now the next thing is okay, let me delete this text here. Okay, so we need to code this button now. So you just double click on this button, and then now generating the mnemonic seed phrase is as easy as this. We'll declare first of all a variable called mnemonic, and then we use a new keyword. Now you have to know that we have we're using the Nbitcoin library, so before you be able to use all this. So now the mnemonic seed phrase can actually be generated, I think, in English, in Chinese, in Spanish. Yeah, I think in English, French, Arabic, Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. You can check that out. So word list, and okay, oh, there are a lot of languages that have been added now: Japanese, Spanish, different languages. So let's choose English because we speak English. So now the word count, we will what's the word count we can use? Is it 12? Is it 24? Most people use 12, 24. So let's just use 12. So and then that is that. So we have been able to generate our mnemonic. So let's display it. So we can just say LBL mnemonic text. Okay, now to generate the address is simple. We first of all derive the external key, which we do that by saying hd root. Just declare variable, call that hd root, and then we derive the external key from there. Then using the hd roots, we use the key parts and the index to derive the the address that we want. So just say variable key should be hd roots and derive. So the key parts, so new key parts. Now the key parts follows a particular format that we just follow this format strictly as I'm showing you now. So like this. So we have our keypad like this. Now it's time for us to get the address from our public key. So variable address. See from our PK, private key, public key, get address. scripts public key type segwit, and then of course we're using the main network, so we see network main, and then label address mnemonic, text should be okay. All right, now we're able to generate via our mnemonic seed phrase. So let's run these and see. So we click on this button. Good. So you can see we have been able to generate a 12 mnemonic phrase: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, and then we're able to generate a BTC address. So if you click this, you can see we can generate from our private key and we can generate from our address. So here now we have a Bitcoin wallet uh, where we have our private key and our Bitcoin address, or our mnemonic and our Bitcoin address. And with these addresses now, you can transfer Bitcoins into it, and then you can transfer Bitcoins out of it. So in this session, we've been able to generate Bitcoin address via our mnemonic seed phrase. So thank you for watching. Hi, welcome to session 5 on this video series on how to create Bitcoin wallet from scratch in C#. My name is Ayuba Ojanugwama. In the last session, we were able to create our Bitcoin wallets from our mnemonic seed. And the session before that, we were also able to generate Bitcoin wallets from our private keys. Now, it will make any sense for us to create a wallet, and we wouldn't be able to know the balance of that wallet, the Bitcoin balance of that wallet. So that's what we're going to do in this session. We're going to check the balance of BTC that is transferred to the wallet we just created. So you should note down the address of the BTC wallet you just created, and you can send in some faucet BTC, some testnet BTC into that account, so that you should be able to uh, proceed with this tutorial I'm carrying out here in session 5. So you can just head up to Google and then check their different sites where you can get faucet BTC or testnet BTC, and then you can send that to your address that you created in the last session. So here now, for we to be able to check the BTC wallet, for we to be able to check the balance of BTC in our wallet, we have to find a way to query the transactions in the blockchain. And the easiest way we could actually do that is by using another tool called Qubit Ninja client. Now, it's also another tool that we're going to download from the Nuggets package, and then that will enable us to be able to quickly check the balance of what we have in our Bitcoin wallet. So if you head back to your our solution, we can go to our references here, right click and go to manage nugget packages, then make sure you're on browse, and then we're going to install Qubit Ninja. So you can see here is it, Qubit Ninja.client. We have Qubit Ninja.client and Qubit Ninja.server. So we're going to install Qubit Ninja.client. And of course, you can see the dependencies and all that. You can go to the GitHub page to see what this project is. really all about. So if you click on this now, it's going to take you to the GitHub page, and you can actually view what this is all about. In case you're interested in viewing the GitHub page, so you can check that. Now, what we're interested in installing this. So I just go right ahead and click install. So this will install the latest version of Cupid Ninja clients to our application. Okay, this is Cupid Ninja on GitHub. It's trying to open, so we can see what it's all about. So it's an open source and powerful blockchain API. So anyway, at this point, this project is not maintained anymore, so you can expect those to work reliably. If all you want is to broadcast a transaction, then you can use this. If you want to build on Bitcoin, please use this instead. This is lightweight, works on Linux, and do not require indexing the whole blockchain. Okay, anyway, all right. What this will do for our tutorial for now. Okay, I guess I clicked that link. Let's go back. So basically, it's an open source blockchain API that you can use to query the blockchain. So you can just read about it here and see what the amazing things you can do with it. So these are projects, and can read all about it here. Now back to our application. Good. So we're trying to install Qubit, and just so we click on that, so we should be able to install that. Okay, so this has installed successfully. Now, going back to our form designer, we have to find a way to include the address of the balance rather of our addresses, so we can just do this. So I will add this. Just shift this up a little. Good. I can name that balance. Same thing. I will add another one here. I could also name it balance. So I could say name this as LBL balance 1. Balance 1. Balance 2. Okay, so now I have this so that I can be able to, once I click generate via private key or generate via seed phrase, I should be able to call the balance method. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a general method called get balance or check balance that should be able to get the balance of each address that was generated. So you could send BTC to that and then check the balance. So the first thing you need to do is to do this using Qubit Ninja, using Qubit Ninja.client. So I actually did this before, so make sure that you import those statements there. Then secondly, let's create a public method. So we'll say public decimal because we're returning the balance in decimal. So I say check balance. Check balance string address. So now Qubit Ninja client, checking that client. So you can say this new Qubit Ninja client. And then we choose the network. So if it's testnet network, if it's test network, you just say network testnets. But if it's mainnet, you just use it as main. Then now we declare our balance model. So balance model. So we say client get balance. Now passing in our address, and then now you can see you can actually check whether the coin has been spent. That means the coin is no longer in the domain of that address, whether it has been marked unspent or not. So in this case, let's just say false. So depending on use case, you can change it to false or true. So we'll check the result of that. And then now we declare our balance truly. So we call this address balance. And the next thing I'll say if balance model, name this as model. So if balance model operations dot count is equals to 0, then we can say address balance. That means it's 0. So we display it like this. Else, if it's greater than 0, since it's decimal, this is 0.00, something like this. Right? Am I correct? Trying to declare my decimal. Okay, let's just leave that as 0. Else, we can say can declare a variable, the unspent coins. So new list. New list of coin. Now we iterate through this list. So we say for each declare variable operation. in balance model, that's operations. So say unspent coins dot add range. Operation dot received coins. Let's select coin. Here we can see the address balance now. So get the unspent coins. We sum it up. And then we do this. Amount to decimal. Right. And then of course we say money units, BTC. So you can check it in BTC or in Satoshi or in any this now we return address balance. So return can initially declare this as 0 like this. Continue with it like this. So now we're able to do this. So quickly, if we just want to check balance now for each of the um, buttons like we have for this button with private key, we can just say LBL balance 1 text we call check balance passing in the BTC address to string. And then of course we need to okay, let's just do it this way. Decimal balance 1. So we do this, and then text should be balance 1 to string. So that's that for the first one. Then for the second one, which is this, where we're generating by mnemonic, same thing. So we'll say decimal balance 2. So we call it check balance. Address to string. Balance 2. Text shall be balance to string. So this way we can easily check balance of our. So we can run this. And you can quickly run any of them so that you check your balance. Good. Well, we've not sent any balance to this, so you can see the balance of the address is 0. So you can copy this, send some. You can work on this method. Copy this, send some BTC into it, and then you can check the balance. So there's no BTC right now, that's why the balance is 0. So let me pause this video here, and then thanks for watching.